We're in today with the GeForce 6200. This is the AGP version from NVIDIA. This is a 2005 video card with 4 pixels and 3 vertex. It's got 128 megabytes of VRAM DDR2 with 64 bits bus width, DirectX 9, running at 350 megahertz on the core clock and 266 megahertz on the memory clock. We're going to pair it up with this Intel Core 2 Extreme QX6850 with 4 cores and 4 threads. And we're going to see how this AGP version is working, comparing it to that 16 megabytes of VRAM PCI Express model. All right, let's start with FlatOut because last time this game was running around 20 FPS. Now on 800 by 600 with low details, you got like 35 FPS, and previous we had what, I think something like 20 FPS, but let's see how it's rocking. Comparing this 6200 AGP model with the PCI Express, I will say this is much better than that one because yeah, it's not very adequate, you know, to have 16 megabytes of VRAM only and oh damn, Daniel. Only 60 megabytes of VRAM and using from the shared memory. You can actually see on 800 by 600 it's using 72 megabytes of VRAM. Can see the load on the video card, but I got like 55 degrees and it's passive cooled and it's got the system fan blowing on that passive radiator. So I will say in this situation I think the core will be on maximum load. But it doesn't matter because it's quite playable on 800 by 600 with this video card. So do you think it's possible to play some games with this video card? Yeah, it is. And you have to choose the video card with dedicated VRAM because in that case with the PCI Express model with only 16 megabytes was not adequate, seriously. Last time I played Driver, I had 640 on the resolution with only high view distance. That's it. And I had around, what, 50 FPS on average. Now I got 100 FPS on average. And he's using 30 megabytes of VRAM. You can actually see the temperature on the GPU is still the same. That means he's utilizing the GPU. So in this case, you need to understand that you have options like anti-aliasing, maybe put some details, increase the resolution. 100 FPS, it's quite good, and there's a lot of room for improvement in the quality of the game. So in Driver, apparently, you are able to play with 6200 with more FPS than the previous video card that we tested on PCI Express. So it is a difference between that one that has 60 megabytes dedicated on the video card with 128 megabytes shared. 110, I think. 109, I think, because it needs to add up to 128 per total with this. So yes, overall, I like the performance from this AGP video card because theoretically it's much better than that PCI Express. In Need for Speed Underground, I had 640 with low details and I had 60 FPS. This is 640 with maximum quality. Now this is impressive because I got 60 FPS with maximum details, and previously I can only achieve this performance with low quality and 640. I mean the lowest resolution, lowest details ever. But here with the same resolution with maximum quality, I get 60 FPS, and this is bananas. To see the difference between an older platform like an AGP model, to see an older platform like the 6200 with AGP with 128 megabytes of VRAM running like this is just marvelous, seriously. Only using 30 megabytes of VRAM, but that's enough. I like how it works, seriously, compared to that 60 megabytes version. In Fallout 1, apparently had how much? Around 30 FPS on average, depending on the zone and how we were looking. You can actually see that the MS here, it's much better. In some cases, you get like hundreds, and yeah, it depends because this is how should I say, it's not a very demanding game, and in this case you can actually see that it's doing a better performance considering it's using 11 megabytes of VRAM. I remember last time how much it was, less than 10 megabytes of VRAM was using, and it was averaging around 30 FPS. But considering the game, you know, you don't need more than 30 FPS, but to see this amount of FPS and how it's running, it's just satisfying. Here is the temperature that shows that the core is now loaded, 48 degrees on the core. Yeah, if it's 48 degrees, that means neither the core is loaded. So in this situation, I will say the AGP, it's actually doing a fantastic job comparing it to the PCI Express model. Even in Age of Empires, apparently that video card was, how should I say, lagging, you know. I remember playing, oh, it's got some glitches here on the texture. Oh, doesn't matter. I got 34 FPS. So I will say it's much better. Oh, look at that. Oh, AGP video card, you're so cool. Seriously, doesn't matter. I like the performance because it's 30 FPS. I remember in Age of Empires was working with 20 FPS on average. It was a bit choppy and had even lower resolution than this one. So I will not complain about this because it's actually doing a fantastic work. Seriously, this is 1024 with high details. Back with that video card, we were testing it on 800 or 640 or something, a lowest resolution with lowest details, and it barely managed to do 20 FPS. And here with 1024 with high details, I mean, I'm guessing that is the reason why we have this problem, you know. But yeah, I will say overall he's doing a fantastic job. But in Star Wars, apparently you have the opportunity to play the game with 60 FPS with this video card, because in this case it's running with 10 megabytes of VRAM, so it's very fluent in this case, comparing it to the previous model with 16 megabytes of VRAM. You can actually see 49 degrees. That means the core is doing a better job than the 16 megabytes, you know, the PCI Express model. And you can actually see it's more fluent. The MS is better. I don't know, but it feels very snappy comparing it to that 16 megabytes. I'm not joking, seriously. Imagine having a 6200 AGP model and a new model comes on the market, 6200, yeah, PCI Express, and yet this works slower than the old one. Feels like I heard this type of story, seriously, where the old video card, old GPU model is working better than the new one that is released. But in Quake III, apparently even the PCI Express model didn't have any problems. It had good FPS on average. Not gonna lie, it was doing a fantastic job, but not like this one. Why? Because this one is using 21 megabytes of VRAM in order to deliver this performance. I think the frame time was better, but even if you had the same performance, like 90 FPS, it's still much better than the previous one, because using 16 megabytes of VRAM. Oh yeah, look at this. Quake 3, it's actually fantastic for this. Oh yes. It's like, feels like a medicine, seriously, with old hardware. But here is the kicker, you know, because in a game like Harry Potter, apparently the AGP video card has problems. The previous video card, we had around 50 FPS on average, and it was utilizing that VRAM that was incorporated, 16 megabytes of VRAM, and it was using from shared memory. So it was doing the job properly. Comparing it to this AGP video card, look at this. 0 FPS, it's lagging, it's stuttery, it's using the maximum. It's something is wrong with the whole VRAM, because there is a problem in this case with compatibility. You know, in this case, the CPU is doing a fantastic job. System RAM is used, VRAM is used theoretically. I think there is something wrong either with the drivers or the game or compatibility. But the AGP in this case is not working, seriously. But in Half-Life, apparently, the game has no problem with the video card. It's using 24 megabytes of VRAM. That's actually good. So the compatibility in between the AGP and the PCI Express, there is no difference in the game. I think the game, it's the only one to blame in this case. You know, if the video card it's working with the PCI Express model and the AGP, that means that's the best case you want from this game. Seriously, nice performance overall, 60 FPS, 44 degrees on the core of the GPU. That means the video card is not being utilized in this case. Only one core is used from the CPU, and I will say the overall performance is great. Last time I played Fable with the PCI Express version from this 6200, I had 50 FPS on average. How much I had? Around 50, 60 FPS on average with the lowest resolution and lowest details. Now I'm on 720p with low details, you know, but look at this, it's getting the same FPS, you know, so it's much better to have the AGP version in this case because of the VRAM. It's using 30 megabytes of VRAM nearly, and it has 60 FPS on constant under 20 ms. So I will say overall it's a good performance from this AGP model. So I would like to say that when it comes to taking an old video card like this, the AGP model versus the PCI Express model, I will take this AGP because there's more games that can benefit from this 128 megabytes of VRAM. One game that was not working on that 6200 with 16 megabytes of VRAM PCI Express model was Galaxy on Fire. I didn't want to start on that video card, but in this model with the AGP model with 128 megabytes of VRAM, it's working. I got like nearly 80 megabytes of VRAM utilized. Look at this. This is a fantastic thing to see, you know. It's 1024 with low details, but it's working, you know. I got CPU on the 30% load, a couple of cores is reaching half load, and 600 megabytes of system RAM use. So overall performance, I like it. Look at this. It's actually working with the AGP model, 6200 AGP. I'm 100% sure you will find this video card in a bin somewhere, you know, because literally nobody wants it and nobody wants to restore a video card like this, you know, or make a PC with a video card like this. Nobody wants this to be in their inventory. Seriously, listen, this is not about how bad it's working in Crysis. It's about the fact that it managed to start the game. Why I'm saying this, even though it got only 10-15 FPS on average, 16, it's lagging. Comparing it to what I tested last time on lowest resolution with lowest details, I had 30 FPS, at least with the 6800 Ultra, you know, it was playable. Even like that, I will not play it because it's an insult to that video card and I don't want to play Crysis. This Crysis is meant for dual BGA video cards. Seriously, it works really nice with those video cards. The fact that the game managed to start on the 6200 AGP with 128 megabytes of VRAM, it's a testimony that is more compatible than the PCI Express model with 16 megabytes. Look at this. It's lagging, yeah. The PCI Express model was not managing to even start the game, this Crysis. So this is a big plus for the AGP model in this case. Another game that the PCI Express model with 60 megabytes of VRAM didn't manage to start was Hellgate London. And in this case, the AGP model managed to start the game. Of course, it's lagging, you know. Look at this, 58 degrees. It's reaching, I'm guessing the core is maxed out in this case. 1.5 gig of system RAM be utilized. I mean, the GPU is weak, you know. Maximum core clock on the video card. And yeah, I don't think the core is managing to keep up with the game, you know. Even the resolution is the lowest one. Everything is put on low details, but the game doesn't manage to get the best of this video card. Seriously, another game that is working with this video card, 40 FPS on 1024 with maximum details. Look at this, it's actually working. I'm not joking, it's actually working, and I'm actually surprised how well it's working. But you have to remember, this is 1024 with maximum details, and it was not starting with that 60 megabytes PCI Express. It's very impressive how this AGP model is working. I'm not joking. It's utilizing 128 megabytes of VRAM. I mean, the core is loaded apparently based on the temperature, but I will say the overall performance is kind of fantastic. It looks good and it works really well, seriously. I mean, in some cases it's dropping to 25 FPS, but I'm 100% sure 800 by 600 it will be just fine to play this game with high details, not ultra, you know. So Doom is a big win for this AGP model. AGP model for some reason is keep winning every single time because of that 128 megabytes of VRAM that it's on the video card, it's not shared. Underground 2 with 640 on medium details, yes. I get like 56 FPS. Come on, it's medium details, but it's working with this AGP model, and this is kind of fun to see a video card like this running. You know, it's kind of funny to see this AGP model running like this. I'm not joking. I like the performance overall, and even with medium details, a little light, a little, how shall I say, reflection makes this experience a little better. If I put it on low details, I will get even better FPS. But to see this video card running like this on 40-50 FPS on 640, it just it just tells me that I need to find the right games in order to use this video card. All right, so the overall conclusion is that this AGP model is better than that PCI Express model with 16 megabytes of VRAM. In some cases it's more compatible, in some cases it has better performance. Yes, there was a couple of games that were actually running on that 6200 PCI Express, and on this one had glitches. But the glitches came at the end of the VRAM. The moment the game was filling up the VRAM, the whole video card was glitching. I tested a couple of games, and that's how it happened. For instance, Harry Potter, the moment it reached the end of the memory, it started glitching. It didn't lag, it started glitching. I had a couple of games like GTR Evolution, same thing, 128 megabytes. It started the game, everything was promising, but when it reached 128, it started glitching and artifacting, and there was a couple of games like that. I'm 100% sure that is where that PCI Express model will win, you know, where it's got shared memory and better compatibility. That's the only good thing about that PCI Express. It's a different platform. Maybe that's the only reason why I managed to start some games. Interesting thing to see, seriously. And I'm very happy that I managed to find this video card. If you like the benchmark, make sure you smash that like button. If you have any suggestion in the future, make sure you leave a comment, and I will see you very soon.